Hi, everyone. So nice to be here today. My name is Faith. Today, I'm going to be taking you on kind of an overview of my journey and how I've navigated from, going from someone that was an international student, no technical background, to now being in a tech space, being able to be recognized for the work that I do, and also within this tech space, being able to advance. So I'm just going to take you on that journey. And if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat. We'll have break in betweens where we can talk and have a look at the questions, or we could look at it at the end of the slides. Daniela, I think you can go to the next slide. Okay. Well, first and foremost, my name is Faith. So my journey started as an international student. So I moved to the UK by myself. Started out as a international student. Went from studying criminology. Then moved on to do my master's in international development, sustainability, and social justice. And when I came out, I realized that regarding that particular subject that I've studied, I realized that there were not a lot of opportunities for international students because if anyone has been on that journey, you do know that it's quite hard to get a sponsorship visa that will enable you to work and develop and grow. And I had to kind of navigate that space and figure out what was the next available thing for me. And whilst I was doing that, I realized that not a lot of information as well was available for international students regarding, how to write up your CV, how to kind of show those transferable skills and highlight them in a way that would interest your recruiter or interest the company that you're applying for. So a lot of my journey was based on trial, trying it out and see if it works. If it doesn't work, the next time I know that this is what I need to do. This is what I need to look out for. And what I found surprising was that even at the universities, not a lot of support was offered for international students because not a lot of people know exactly what to do with you or how to offer support or have enough information regarding some of the policies and laws and information regarding international students. But regardless of that, I was able to still find a role in finance because at the time everyone was going into investment, finance, into accounting. So I thought this could be a way for me to still use the skills that I have and be able to grow and develop within this space. So fast forward 2020, I became an audit assistant at RSM, working, taking my ACCA as well. And then COVID happened. Because of COVID, a lot of us were kind of put on, where all a lot of us were laid off, and that being laid off kind of gave me time to sit down and really look in myself and realize what is it that I need to do in this moment. What do I need to do to level up? How can I grow? Or is this where I'm meant to be? So during this time, I just found myself kind of reading and looking at some of the interesting areas that are kind of developing at the moment, and I came across blockchain. And around that time, a lot of people were into blockchain. There was a lot of developments around the area, whether it was cryptocurrency, metaverse. People were building on the platform, and it really interested me because I wanted to know how to build on the platform and how to use this as a way to find a new skill. And maybe this was my entry into something greater, and that was what I did. So I started watching YouTube videos, started doing hackathons online, networking with organizations just like GTA, Coding Black Females, Code First Girls, just kind of building that community and meeting women like myself that were going through the same transition. And because of that, that led me to my first role in tech, which was as a software implementation consultant. And that was kind of my first time kind of working in a technical role, having to work with APIs, having to kind of build systems. And it really, once I was in that role, I kind of knew that this was what I wanted to do because I was so interested in, just beyond just learning a particular software and implementing it, but actually building from scratch. And because of that interest, it led me to do it led me to still keep on learning and figuring out ways that I can fully transition into being a software engineer. And from that, I did various hackathons. There's a very famous one by Code First Girls. I did that, and that kind of gave me the foundation and the skills that enabled me to grow and get my first role as a software engineer at MDRX. And I spent about a year plus at the company, kind of developing my skills, building it. And whilst I was at that role, I kind of still kept on reskilling my skills. So the skills that I already had, I kind of used that time to figure out what else can I do, or what new, I guess, what is it in the tech industry that is booming right now? How can I advance the skills that I have to still make sure that I am relevant, or my skills are still relevant with the changing times that we're experiencing? And then I came across cloud computing. From there, I started learning about AWS, making sure that at work I was taking on tickets that had to do with cloud computing, had to do with that space. And that enabled me to not only reskill but advance to a more senior role, which I'm currently in at Genesis. And even with all of this happening, still I decided that because of my knowledge about tier 2 visa and being an international student, and being able to change my visa so many times and advance into different areas or sectors, this is something that can help someone else that's an international student trying to figure out, how can I get this job? What are the information out there for me? How can I kind of find these sponsored roles? And that was when I developed TTP Network, which is basically a platform where international students, immigrants, can go on there, look for opportunities. The opportunities, that what we've done is that we've just kind of simplified the whole process. So simplified all the roles available, put them onto one space. We have an AI chatbot where you can ask it questions, and it will be able to provide you with very relevant answers that are specific to the questions that you're asking. Free CV, cover letter, and LinkedIn templates. We also offer revamps with regards to your CV or your cover letter or your LinkedIn. So that is what I did with TTP Network. And just all in all, just the journey alone shows that you can do anything, because I've gone from not caring about tech, was never a science student even in secondary school, to now being awarded in the space, to now, getting a senior technical role in the space. So it's very much possible. And yeah, that's just a little bit about me. And we'll go on to the next slide now. Okay. The next slide is just what I was speaking about earlier, which is understanding the tech landscape. And why I've kind of put this here is that one thing that I noticed in my transition is that it's very important to make sure that you are aware of the space, you are aware of the changes that are happening and the opportunities that follow in these changes, because most times you can feel very comfortable saying, all I do is just, front end, and that's okay. But times are changing. We have new developments. We have a lot of like unprecedented growth and innovation that happens within the space. And we're seeing it now with artificial intelligence, cloud computing, you have big data, you have metaverse, blockchain. So these are the technologies that are constantly reshaping our industries and societies, just offering new opportunities for businesses as well as individuals alike. So it's very important that you are aware of the current state of the tech industry. You're aware of the changes that are happening. You're aware of the skills as well that are happening within the tech industry, and you kind of keep up to date with the trends and developments that are shaping the digital future. And some of the ones that I've kind of written down are, firstly, we have artificial intelligence and machine learning. So AI and ML technologies are revolutionizing industries by just automating tasks, uncovering insights from data, and delivering personalized experience to users. So you have things like, we have ChatGPT, which just kind of simplifies the whole process for you. Whether you're asking it, how can I do this, or write me this, it's simplifying that process and giving you the answer the answer and the content, giving you personalized content. So these are some of the trends that are happening. You also see with cybersecurity, and that's because of you have an increase in, digitalization of businesses. And, because of that, you can see we're experiencing cyber threats, and cybersecurity has become a very top priority for organizations. And there's a growing demand for cybersecurity professionals who can safeguard data, system networks from cyber attacks. And that goes as well for intelligence and machine learning. It's not just about learning how to build chatbots, but actually learning how to understand and interpret data, learning how to be able to be given this data and learn how to maneuver and change it and utilize it to, build something greater. And we also have, of course, the blockchain and metaverse. We have sustainability and green tech. And that's because the tech industry is just increasingly focusing on sustainability and environmental responsibilities. You have innovations in renewable energy, electrical vehicles, and green computing, which are driving, positive change and reducing the industry's carbon footprint. So these are some of the trends that we're seeing happening now in the tech space. And I've just kind of listed it just to just to kind of give you an idea of some of the trends that are happening now, and how you can kind of upskill or reskill, or the skills that you have now, advance it so that you are kind of keeping up to date with the latest trends. Next slide, please, Daniela. We also have what I've put here, which is building your digital skill set. And the first one here says identifying skills, so your core competence for success in tech. When I first started, I didn't have much technical skills, but one thing that I had was that I had skills that were transferable in the technical space. So some of the skills I had was critical thinking. I was a researcher, so I was able to observe, be able to research and draw data, be able to analyze data and provide you with results. So that was one thing that I took into the tech space. And from that, you can see that you're already having skills that you might not think are technical skills, or you might not think are you know, good enough for being in the tech space, but you have things like problem solving, being able to write research, or being able to research something is you problem solving. You're trying to find out what is the data that will enable me answer the question that I've put out. What can I look for? How can I source different resources or source different articles um, that will enable me progress in what I am writing. So you have problem solving as one, you have communication, which was another one that I realized was very important, because a lot of the time you're communicating with clients, you're presenting to clients, you're demoing to clients. You kind of have to learn how to communicate, because most times you would be in a collaborative environment where you would need to communicate with a fellow developer, or communicate with your manager on what you're doing, or how what you're building, or the difficulties that you're facing. So it's very important that you learn, or you have good communication skills, just to enable you to be able to explain technical skills to non-technical people, or also be able to explain technical skills to technical individuals. Another thing that I would say is adaptability, because a lot of the time with tech spaces, you just have to adapt. I was in a company whereby you can't just say, oh, all I can do is front end and that's it. You kind of had to adapt, because if we're building a full stack project, or if we're building a full stack project, or a blockchain project, most times you have to be able to adapt and be able to learn on demand. So you could be given a ticket that has to do with, kind of like building a sandbox or implementing a sandbox into your system. And it could be something that you've never done before, but with that adaptability, or having that type of skill, you're able to quickly adapt, you're able to learn or ask questions, you're able to research or find out, oh, you know what can I learn to enable me progress in my tickets, or enable me be good in this project that I've been put on. So I would say adaptability is one that's very important, because most times you would be in situations where you can't say I can't do that. You kind of have to adapt, to learn and progress within um, within that space. And that moves on to my second point, which is learning resources, tools, and platforms for skill development. There are a lot of online courses and tutorials available that can help you. Platforms such as Stack Overflow will help you kind of solve a question or worry that you might have. You also have Chat GPT, which will kind of simplify a process for you. But you also have platforms like Udemy, Free Code Camp. You have communities as well, like Coding Black Females, GTA, that will provide you with opportunities to be able to reskill or skill up to enable you kind of meet up with the changes. And you have coding boot camps. Again, there are a lot of them, especially here in the UK. There are a lot of coding boot camps or skills boot camps that you can take on. And one thing that I didn't do when I started, but now I'm doing, is I try to contribute a lot to open source projects on platforms like GitHub. So finding a way to collaborate with others, building upon what other people have done, just to kind of showcase my own skills to potential employers, especially if I go into an interview and they're like, show us your GitHub, show us what you've done, what have you built, what have you learned in this time. And by working on a lot of open source projects, or working or doing hackathons, I say hackathons are very important because it enables you to kind of work with people to build a project from scratch. And again, tech communities are very important, and meetups, because most times you learn from people, you learn about different opportunities as well from other people. You have I know that JavaScript does a lot of meetups here in the UK, where you can meet up and learn more about JavaScript, about Figma. So these are ways that you can kind of build your network and be able to also build the skills that you have. And the last point I have here is continuous learning as a way to just kind of stay ahead, especially in the tech industry. One thing I've learned since coming into this industry is that learning never stops. As much as you might be, a senior engineer with so many experiences, learning never stops, because there could just come a day where you're faced with a difficulty and you're like, actually, I really don't know. I've never, faced this issue before. How can we tackle it? And you see that even the very senior engineers still have these issues where, they have to kind of figure it out. They have to kind of go back, look at some of the resources, or look at some of the new updated resources that are available, and learn and keep on learning to be able to build, more advanced projects, to build up to date advanced projects. So I would say, have that spirit of continuous learning, have that want to always keep on, reskilling, upskilling, learning more. Even if you feel like I have mastered this particular skill, there's still something there, there's more to it. You can take on and advance and be able to learn and keep on growing. Next slide, please, Daniela. I'll just quickly look at the questions. If anyone has any questions for me, let me just quickly see. Okay, no questions. But if you have, let me just have a look. Okay, cool. Okay, I think I'll answer, because we have quite a few. I'll answer the questions at the end because we still have time. But the next slide I have here is navigating career transition. Um, with navigating transitioning to a career in tech is one that is very rewarding. And I feel like a lot of the time people look at transitioning into tech as just software development, or just writing code. But the opportunities are endless with a career in tech. You see it now, where you have people that are quant developers, you have UX UI designers, you have technical consultants, you have professional services. So the career part, when it comes to navigating career transitions, are so many. And it goes back again to being able to showcase those transferable skills that you might have. Because if you're someone that's coming up from a consulting background, you might think, oh my gosh, I do not have any technical skills, I don't think I would be able to fill in these roles. But then with a consulting background, there are a lot of opportunities when it comes to professional services, a lot of project management jobs, a lot of technical consultant roles. And when we say technical consultant roles, it's not saying that you are building that software, or you are the one that's designing the API. Is more so understanding the software and being able to kind of take on that technical information and explaining it to your clients in the simplest form. So those are some of the tech pathways that are available for people that kind of have consulting background. And it goes again to just access your own skills and interests. Is what is something that you're interested in. A lot of right now we're seeing that we have more a lot of research roles are becoming more technical. If you're someone that has a research background, that's something that you can do. There are a lot of ways that your skills can be very relevant to the tech space. It has to do with you kind of finding out what is it that I enjoy, how can I take this on and be able to transfer it into the new role that I'm looking for. And then you see that there are areas where you can fill skill gaps with the skills that you have now, especially now where we're looking for people that understand data or understand how to read data, a lot of data analyst roles. These are ways that you can kind of figure out the skills or fill in the gaps through. And if you have that kind of if you have that foundation already, you can skill up or reskill to take you onto a more advanced role through taking on different courses, building on that foundation that you have, understanding the relevant tools and information that are available to that space. And again, I would say having a very strong network is very important, because I know that if I kind of just went on this journey by myself, didn't talk to anybody, didn't engage with women that were also transitioning, didn't, find communities like we're in now, or, network and figure out or learn from professionals or have mentorship, I wouldn't be where I am today. So I think it's important to build a strong network, build those relationships where you can be able to reach out and ask questions, or reach out and, seek mentorship or guidance. I think is very important. And the last one I would say is stay persistent, stay resilient, because it's never easy transitioning to any role, whether tech, finance, or anything whatsoever. It's never easy. It takes that dedication. It takes the ability to, even though in a day you can get rejections, or you can you're being told actually you're not ready for this now, you have to stay persistent, you have to stay resilient, you have to focus on the long-term goals, look at what is it that you're trying to achieve, why as well do you want to get into tech, are you doing it, what is your goal for getting into tech, are you doing it to kind of advance, are you doing this to be, the first one in your family to do this, or to be in tech, are you doing it for money, whatever your goal may be, let that be your focus and let that drive you through your journey, and do not allow any sort of like rejection or setback take you back, but just keep on trying and keep on going. And with all of this, you see that it gets easier, and within due time you would then be in a space whereby you would look back and it would just be like, I've done this now, and this it would just feel like a thing of the past, I would say. Next slide please, Daniela. Okay, and now we can go to the Q&A. So I'll just quickly go through the questions. The first one is, how long did this learning upskilling journey take you before you got your first job at MDRX? It took me a year plus. So from I took because I used the lockdown that we had, which was 2020. So the whole of 2020, I was learning coding, taking on hackathons, working in like little internships here and there to advance my skills. And then that led me onto my first role as a software implementation consultant. And then from there, I built those skills and then was able to get enough software engineering experience to get me my first role at MDR. So I would say it took me a year plus trying to learn and upskill to get me my first job. Um, the next question is, so you learned how to code, what language or stack did you focus on? I think for me, well, because I had a very strong interest with back end work, initially I started out with Python, Django, just kind of focusing on learning that, because I was very much interested in back end. And then I started learning JavaScript because my role required me to be a full stack engineer, so I started learning JavaScript, and that enabled me kind of be able to work in both the back end and the front end, and build upon those skills. Did employers look favorable on your learning from Black tech organizations? Did you need certifications first? Sometimes employers would not. Some with most of the roles that you're seeing now, a lot of the time people don't require you to be like to have like a degree in a computer science course, unless if it's something whereby you're advancing in your role and maybe you need to get that degree or master's, then that's fine. But when I was doing um, all of my interviews that I would do, they didn't look at any of my like learning certificates and look at it like, oh, that came from this or that came from this person. It was more so during the interview, could I build the code that did, could I answer like the technical questions, could I build out, could I solve these code questions that were given me. So they wouldn't really look at, because your certifications can say you do all these things, but it's then up to you during this technical interview to show them if you can actually code, if you can answer the questions that they are asking you. So on your CV, you highlighted these transferable skills. Is that what made you stand out? Yeah, I would say so. I think for me, being able to show my transferable skills and highlight them, and making sure that they relate to what the company as well is looking for. Because if they're saying that the role that they're looking for will require you to speak to a lot of clients, will require you to engage or demo or present to clients, and maybe some of my transferable skills are that, I worked in sales and I had to communicate a lot of the time with clients. So during my time as an audit assistant, it required me to reach out to managers to seek receipts or to ask for certain documents. That is me speaking to clients. That is me engaging with clients. That is me, speaking to them and understanding what I require from them and what they need to give me. So those are the ways that you can highlight your transferable skills, but make sure that they're matching what the job description is asking. The next question is, did you already have a portfolio and do open source and hackathons even before you got your first job? Yes. So before I got my first job, I made sure that I was building up my GitHub. I was building up my sort of like LinkedIn presence, portfolio, just to make sure that I had enough to present to my employers. And that is, again, contributing to open source, going for hackathons, building. And when I say go for hackathons, you don't have to go for like physical hackathons. There are a lot of like online hackathons that you can go for, and be able to collaborate with people or build on a team, and you can get those, and you can get that on your GitHub and showcase what you've done, what you've built, how you've built it. So that's a good way of just already showing your employer what you're doing. Any advice for lawyers looking to get into the space? I would say if you're a lawyer looking to get into the space, you kind of have to look at what is it that you want, because a lot of the time, right now we're seeing that there are a lot of like lawyers in tech. So they don't necessarily have to change and be like coders or UX UI designers, but there are a lot of lawyers in tech that kind of handle like technical cases, or they deal with the tech space or policies or contracts that might have to deal with that. So there are a lot of opportunities for lawyers within the tech space, not necessarily that you have to change. You might have to learn more about like, I don't know, tech policies or learn more about tech law. But if you're a lawyer and you're looking to get into the space, I think first and foremost, you have to know like, what is it that I want? Do I want to fully transition and learn to code, or do I want to still be a lawyer but be in the tech space? And then from there you then know what next, or what are the next steps you need to take, or who do I need to network with, or who do I need to meet to kind of help me navigate my journey in this space. The next question is, I want to transition into a non-technical path like project management, currently an occupational therapist. How's best to start? I would say Google offers a very good like project management course, which I've heard rave reviews about. A lot of people do it, and from this certification, they're able to advance and work at really great companies. A lot of boot camps as well now are offering project management courses that you can take, and they're able to take you through like both technical and non-technical routes, and from there you're able to use those skills or foundations that you've gotten to be able to progress into those technical spaces. And even when you look at your skills as an occupational therapist, you will notice that you also have those skills that relate to project management, because you handle different patients each day. You're being, you're organizing your time, you're organizing your schedule. So those are some of the transferable skills that you can showcase in your CV that will be able to highlight how what you're doing now is able to transfer to the roles, to the project management roles that you're seeking. But I would say look at the Google project management certification, because I think it's really good and it helps a lot of people. The next question is, how did you maintain confidence in all the new skills you acquired? Yes, I think with this, initially when I started, I had a lot of imposter syndrome because I started, doubting myself, like, oh my gosh, do I have enough skills to be here? Do I actually have enough understanding to be in the role that I'm currently in? Am I actually good enough? And then I think once you start having those feelings, I think it's then time for you to go back and kind of analyze the journey that you've been on. And I have something that's called, like, it's called a compass. Each year I write, I have this like a compass journey tracker kind of thing, and I look back at everything that I've done before. I look back on my journey before, and I look at where I am now, and I am where I am because of the effort that I've put in, the work that I've put through. And there will be days where you just feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know actually what to do, or this ticket that I have is beyond me. And it just takes time. You have to be comfortable. You have to also be vulnerable and be able to ask questions, seek advice, seek help if you need help, especially if it's in a new skill that you've just kind of acquired and you're not too sure. There are people that are there to help you. There are people that are willing and very much active to kind of guide you or present you with the necessary resources that you need to help you kind of ground yourself or root yourself within this skill. So I think just making sure that you realize, or you have a look back on your journey and just have a look back on your growth, is very much reassuring that you are where you need to be, or you are in the right space at the moment. The next question is, were you going to uni and working at the same time while doing this upskilling? How did you manage to do everything? I think with this, I would say a lot of organization was needed, because whilst I was going to uni, I still had to get a part-time job, or I still had to do internships. And it's not easy, but I think with organization and kind of having good time management, making sure you organize your week, if you know that you have a dissertation coming, or you have coursework left to do, organize that into your day. Figure out what are the times that you can take out to focus on your uni work, take out to focus on your part-time job or your internships, and just kind of focus on the end goal and know that it's all going to be worth it. At the end, you're getting all these skills to help you advance in your career. But I think having tools like, because I think when I was doing this, I used, well, it was an app called Asana, and that helped me just kind of organize my time. And it also gave me this tick feature whereby if I finished something, I was able to tick and say, I've done that. I'm moving on to the next task. If I had like other tasks within that task, it let me kind of keep track of everything that I needed to do to make sure that I was actually achieving everything that I set out for myself. So that's one thing that I would say really helped me with that. The next question is, I work at Amazon and have been thinking to join AWS. I would like to join the sales teams there, but they have no technical knowledge. Do you think I stand a chance? I would definitely say so. I think with AWS, they have a lot of different like routes, I think, because they have one that's like cloud practitioner, they have developers routes, they have I think solution architects route. So it all depends on what you want to do, what your interests are. If you're trying to join the sales team and they say they have no technical knowledge, that could be at your advantage, because maybe you can already come with that AWS knowledge that they're looking for, and also just come in with like other skills that you may have that are transferable to the sales team, and that could really help you. So I do think you stand a chance just by the fact that already you work at Amazon. So I think go ahead, do the AWS course, as it's something that regardless of if you use it now, you can still use it later if you want to maybe advance into another role within Amazon. So I would say go for it. It's really good. Where did you find your mentors? How did you approach them? LinkedIn was where I found my mentors. I genuinely love LinkedIn. I think it's such a great platform to like to reach out to people, to seek help, to kind of like network as well. So I found my mentors on LinkedIn. My mentor is actually Charlene Hunter. I found her on LinkedIn, just messaged her about my journey and how she inspired me, and from there we've been able to like build a friendship. We've been able to talk, and she has been very helpful in my progression over the years. How did you prepare for the technical aspects of the interview process? I would say I use it's a platform called Algo Experts, and they have a lot of like technical questions, and they have a lot of like different areas. If you're trying to prepare for like a cybersecurity technical interview, they have that front end, back end. I can find the link and paste it in the group. Let me just quickly find it. But Algo Expert was one that I used to ace like a lot of my coding interviews. And it's very, very helpful if you're just trying to learn. If you just follow like one of the pathways, it's very helpful with that. So I've posted it in the chat. That was one that helped me. And the last question is, how did you get your first mentor? Yeah, so going back to my previous question, I found my mentor on LinkedIn and just reached out to her because I was really inspired by her career, how she kind of she built this space. So she built Coding Black Females because she couldn't find a space like that where, Black women are able to come together and showcase their work or able to network. And it just kind of inspired me because I also wanted to build a space for, international students or immigrants that were also interested in like navigating that space or trying to transition. And her career just really inspired me, so I reached out to her, and from since then, that we've just kind of connected and we've remained very close since then. The next question is, do you feel like you're in a place where you can take a mentee at the moment? Definitely, I have a couple people that I mentor at the moment, so you can reach out to me. Daniela, do you mind going to the next slide? So my LinkedIn and Instagram information is in the next slide. So you can reach out to me on LinkedIn or on Instagram, and I'll be happy to speak to you and we can move on from there. I think those are all the questions that we have now. Yeah, so my LinkedIn is just on there. My name, Faith Ida, and my Instagram as well is below. And feel free to message me, connect with me, and I'll be happy to speak to you and we can move on from there.